before we get on to my review of Raw, I just wanted to shout out my friend Art, who mentioned me in his review of the show, and there are comments talking about me on his review. Shout out to that. Link to that video in the description, y'all. Hey guys, it's your boy Mark back with another video here for yet another 2022 wrestling review thing. Now, I was going to review this anyway. Well, I didn't plan that today. I decided, as I was watching the show, I was like, you know what? I'll review this. And, the show just got off the air. And I watched Raw. I streamed it. And it went pretty good for the most part. But, yeah. And I very rarely review Raw. I only before have reviewed Raw, just for when I was in the Thunderdome, all those times, you know? But this was a very special episode of Raw. Okay, this was an extremely special episode of Raw, and, I'm here, I decided to review it because, John Cena. 20 years of John Cena in WWE. I'm here to give you guys my review of the show. Now, I was very, casually watching this. Don't expect, in-depth, analysis of everything or nothing. Because I really did, even though I decided I wanted to review it, I really did just want to enjoy the show. You know what I mean? And, I'm, very excited to. And, yeah, obviously you guys know John Cena is my hero. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. And he's my hero, my inspiration. I consider myself the biggest fan of John Cena ever. And if you watched Raw and you know me, then I have to get the elephant in the room. Let's just get the elephant in the room over with. Yes, I did appear on Raw. They showed my photo with one of my photos with John Cena when I met him. Being that I streamed this and didn't watch it on TV, I got messages before it came up for me saying, I just saw you in Raw. Dude, I just saw you on Raw. And I'm like, what? And that's when I realized, because on TV at the same time they were showing Make-A-Wish kids, that I was going to show up. And when I showed up, I took a photo, posted on Facebook. I was getting tons and tons of messages, and it was just fantastic, man. Just fantastic. I couldn't believe it. And no, they did not ask my permission. By the way, I so would have mentioned that if I was contacted for permission or whatever. But I was tonight, June 27, 2022, I showed up on a big ass screen in an arena on an episode of Raw. I was in the Thunderdome several times last year. And, I was on the Thunderdome several times, last year. And while I did show up in the crowd, I even showed up pretty up close in the crowd. This was my huge freaking full on most of the screen. You know what I mean? More so than anything from last year in the Thunderdome. Holy shit. Who would have thought? You know, I have to acknowledge that, alright? This episode of Raw, this is probably now my favorite episode of Raw of all time. I was a little bit disappointed with what John Cena talked about tonight. He doesn't know when he's going to wrestle again. I was very hoping that Gunther would come out, and challenge him to an impromptu IC title match or something. Or, he probably will show up at SummerSlam or something, you know what I mean? And win, for crying out loud. But, anyway, let's get on with my proper review of the show now. And by the way, I'm going to show photos on screen, but it's probably going to be about people messaging me about when they saw me on Raw, and reactions and all that. So that's not gonna match up with what I'm saying at all, But anyway, the show opened up with a beautiful John Cena had arrived, and everyone backstage was clapping for John Cena. I love that so much. That was just amazing. It was beautiful. And then we get on to a Battle Royal. Money in the Bank Battle Royal, where the winner of this Battle Royal will be one of the contestants in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And there were tons of wrestlers. There was Ali, there was The Miz, there was AJ Styles, there was Veer Mahan, all that stuff. Rey Mysterio, Dominique Mysterio, some cool eliminations. Like I said, this was never going to be like a truly in-depth like analysis or anything like that. The Miz, I guess he faked an injury, then he came out, eliminated AJ Styles, and then it was just down to him and Riddle. Riddle did a very cool RKO to take the Miz out of the thing, and now Riddle is in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match and Money in the Bank pay-per-view, of course. And yeah, and then we go backstage with John Cena and the Street Profits, and they were doing like a John Cena invisible joke. Admittedly, as much as I love John Cena, I'm kind of sick of those and you can't see him jokes. I'm over them, but this was still cool. I think Angelo was like, "Here's John Cena," and then the camera just showed nothing. Then, actually, here's John Cena, and then John Cena actually was there, And then they talked about Never Give Up and all that, and yeah. And then we got some John Cena video tributes. Yeah, Triple H calling John Cena the greatest of all time. They called John Cena the greatest of all time several times throughout the show. Yeah, John Cena, 20 years of WWE. That's just amazing. Like, that's what this episode of Raw was celebrating, And, Big Show, even though he's in AEW right now, Big Show was one of the video tributes. Trish Stratus too, and frickin' Brian Danielson. I heard, we'll get onto something like this later on, who's in AEW, Brian Danielson. WWE literally reached out to AEW to ask them if they could have those appearances, and they said yes. What's the quote? I forgot the word I'm looking for. Class or something like that. I hate that I can't remember the word. But then we got Montez Ford versus Jey Uso. This was pretty cool. Montez Ford actually got the win. He pinned Jey Uso. Cool. And then we go into a segment with Mysterios and Judgment Day backstage. And my mom was like, "Holy crap, look at the size of that motherfucker." She was looking at Damian Priest. And then, And then we get on to the John Cena career retrospective. By the way, if I forget, I'm looking at notes that I wrote. So if I forgot some stuff, I'm sorry. And then John Cena career retrospective video. It was awesome. Nothing I haven't seen a million times, but it's always awesome to see. And then we got Miz TV. I think this was when the groceries arrived at my house. So the Miz TV part I didn't really catch. They talked about WrestleMania 38 and all that. And then AJ Styles came out. And then it was the Miz versus AJ Styles. And AJ Styles won via countout. So, yeah. Then we go backstage. John Cena meets Ezekiel, who was definitely, wink, wink, not Elias. This was cool. John Cena, I think he was like, "Hey, you look familiar," And then Ezekiel was like, "Oh, I'm Elias' younger brother." And then Cena was like, "Is Elias here?" And Ezekiel was like, "Yeah, he was there." And Elias didn't actually show up, But then, when Ezekiel left, Austin Theory showed up. And Austin Theory was like, I mean, I'm 24 years old, and you weren't even in WWE, and I'm already a champ before the age you turned when you became a champion, Stuff like that. Huge rumors that it's going to be John Cena versus Austin Theory at SummerSlam. I would love to see that, but I'm rooting for Cena, okay? I'm rooting for Cena. Obviously I am, why wouldn't I? And then more John Cena video tributes. We had JBL calling him the GOAT, Randy Orton, awesome, Stephanie McMahon, but most of all, Chris Jericho. Yep, Chris Jericho, also from AEW, came to do a tribute thing for John Cena. That was awesome. And then I wrote Bianca and Carmella. Carmella came out looking so hot. I just have to say, like, and then they talked, and then they fought, and then there was like a little interview, and apparently earlier, like on the last episode of SmackDown or something like that, Carmella had attacked Bianca from behind, and she tried to do that again, but Bianca was prepared this time. So yeah. Then backstage, it was Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss, and then Liv Morgan was like, in the words of John Cena, "Your time is up, my time is now." You know, and Liv was like, "I'm going to beat you tonight." And Alexa Bliss was like, "That is not going to happen." And then the match happens, and it's a pretty cool match. And Asuka's beautiful ass is doing commentary ringside. Oh man, I love that so much. And Liv Morgan rolls up Alexa Bliss for the 1, 2, 3. So Liv Morgan wins that. Cool. Then we go on to them showing Make-A-Wish kids, including me. Yes, this was when I showed up. You know, I already talked about this. I got so many messages all at once. It was a beautiful, amazing feeling. It was like, bro, I saw you on Raw, and I love it so much. And then this was when the actual main event of the show happened. Even though there was stuff after this, this was the freaking main event. All right, I don't care. All right, Mr. McMahon came out to talk about John Cena. Then John Cena came out, applause from everyone. The cheers were freaking loud as, and then he came out, talked about, "This isn't about me. We're here to celebrate you. I couldn't have done this without you, the fans, you know." And then he said, which kind of disappointed me, "I don't know. I'm not saying never, but I don't know when I'm gonna wrestle again." And I was hoping like Gunther would come out. You know, not that because they did post like about, there was a WWE and Fox post talking about John Cena becoming Intercontinental Champion. Like, I still want that. All right. So maybe that's on me. That's on me. Okay, I got my hopes up a little bit for that. It was still awesome to hear John Cena talk and all that. Still amazing. Still an amazing moment, but man. And then he talked about, you know, and then I wonder if John Cena's right now doing a thing for the crowd, like off the air. That'll probably be posted up on YouTube if that happens. But anyway, then we got Bobby Lashley versus Alpha Academy with Austin Theory at ringside. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Austin Theory, earlier that night, Austin Theory was like, "Oh, I'm going to capture this moment." And he got out his phone to take a selfie, and John Cena walked away. That was funny. Anyway, Lashley versus Alpha Academy, pretty fun. Otis did like an awesome ass like flip senton to Lashley on the ringside. That was cool. And then Lashley made, I think, Gable tap out to the Hurt Block. That was cool. And then immediately Austin Theory attacked Bobby Lashley. Yeah, and then we go backstage. Seth Rollins, being a total dickhead, talking about, "Hey, John Cena, because he was talking to John Cena backstage. You remember when I busted open your nose or something like that? And then you failed when you cashed in Money in the Bank, but not me. I had the greatest Money in the Bank cash in of all time," which I would agree with. You know, big Seth Rollins fan, but man, he did get under my skin a bit with this shit. And then, "I'm gonna make history again in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And are you in the Money in the Bank ladder match?" I mean, I wish he was, but yeah. And then Almost came in, and then MVP was talking about, "I have a vision for Almost winning Money in the Bank," or something like that. And then John Cena was like, "Yep, good luck. Yep, see ya." And then we go on to the main event, the women's Money in the Bank final spot. It was Doudrop, Zia Lee, I think, Becky Lynch, and some others that I don't remember. And it was like, I thought it was another Battle Royal, but it was like a elimination match, you know? Everyone was ganging up for Becky Lynch. There were eliminations. Tamina was in this too. And, yeah, the ending to this was just, of course they had freaking Becky Lynch win. I didn't want it to win anyone but her, honestly. But of course they went the predictable route with that. So, Raw ends, well, it shouldn't have ended with this shit. It should have ended with the John Cena stuff. And, you know what, that was the main event. Alright, I don't care. Anyway, that was Raw. And, hope you love my review, y'all. And, yep, that's gonna be my review. Thank you guys for watching. It means a lot. Peace out. Much love.